Hey guys, okay, welcome to my video. So today we're going to talk about the ABS check brake system and all these lights that's showing up, the ABS light, the skid light, and that light with the exclamation point and a triangle light. I have all these going on right now. All right, so basically I started having this issue after I changed the low control arm on this car. Now I understand why it came up when I changed it, because a bolt was loose and it was skidding all over the place. I had that worked out. Everything's fine. Also, I also had this issue when there was debris on the sensor itself, on the ABS sensor. I made the mistake of putting there's a metal part cover that goes over the bearing, and it's got to be 100% flattened out. It got to be popped in, you know. But I probably should have just left that out. It's just the covering. It really didn't do much. And I popped it in without actually flattening it out. Drove it, and it started. The metal shavings from it not being 100% seated in the bearing itself and the spindle, created metal shavings. And the sensor itself, the ABS sensor, is magnetic. All right, so it'll track all those shavings. Now I've been able to drive this car pretty good for a good I don't know, over 1,000 miles, and apparently there's still a little bit of metal shavings left in it, because I actually now my car, I did a lot of work on the suspension, all four bearings. Let me see, control arms, um, the sway bar link, and at this point, it's probably as good as it's gonna get, as far as being as close to 100% as it was before. Everything got taken off, put back on, etc., etc. Toyota, all these manufacturers, when they put them on, they put it on exactly correct as far as the torque settings and all that stuff. It's 100% put in exactly. All right. I noticed, after doing a lot of different kind of suspension work, underarm, etc., etc., joints, board joints, etc., etc., you're never ever going to get it. A lot of times it's hard to get it to like 100%. There's always going to be some kind of clunking going on, clunk here and there when you turn. It's like really hard to solve, because you change one part and then it changes up the other part. The other part is old. I mean, I didn't change the ball bearings. Wait, no, I changed the ball bearings. I didn't change the ball joint. Probably the ball joint is the issue. I mean, it's close to as close to as it's ever gonna get. But when I turn, there's a clunk noise every now and again, and it's probably because the ball joint are old. And it's always probably a good idea, when you guys are changing suspension parts, particularly in a car that's got 280,000 miles. I mean, if it's got 280,000 miles, I probably should have just thought it out and said, you know what, probably should have just threw every single new part in it, because I'm doing this on my own. I'm taking all these parts out. Might as well just change up while I have these parts out, might as well change the ball joint, the sway bar links, the ball bearings, maybe even the struts themselves, the shocks. All right. But I didn't do that. I just changed a couple of parts here and there, and now the suspension it's not 100% OEM. When it came off the lot, driven 280,000 miles, it was still pretty, didn't hear too much. There was like a little jerking action when I changed gears and stuff like that. Probably because, and it was because of the control arm, where the bushings were, where the rubber bushings were degraded, eroded. But anyway, back to this. So I started having this issue. Now I understand when this issue came up because I thought maybe it's the balancing, but the balancing is good because I went to the garage, they balanced it. It was a tire in the back that actually had a bubble in it, and when they took it off, it didn't look like it had a bubble in it, but when they took it off, you could actually see metal, you know, issues with the tire. Had that changed out, got off the lot and drove it, and all of a sudden, I'm still having the same issue, and it's gone worse. But I actually did an OBD, I have an OBD2 that actually reached the ABS, and there's two issues that came up, and it's telling me that one of those issues is the sensors. One of the sensors actually has debris in it. There's a debris on the sensor itself. And the other issue was that the steering sensor. This is a C1290C abnormal point of steering angle sensor, and apparently that happens if if you do an alignment and you don't take the negative off the battery. It causes this issue. Like in new cars, this is a 2010. It's a hybrid. It's technologically, there's a lot of different sensors in it. Understood that you're gonna get a lot of issues that come up. But one of my pet peeves for this, I'm gonna go out obviously and change the sensor. But one of my pet peeves on this is that it actually, you get the ABS that come up. I have cars with ABS issues before, and it never actually had a computer that actually, I guess one of my pet peeves is that it actually tells you to go to the dealership, which, have your vehicle checked by a dealer. Like that's one of my pet peeves on here, is have the vehicle checked by the dealer so they can actually charge you a couple $100 for for a sensor, to change out a sensor, to clean up a sensor or whatever. Anyway, and that is related to another pet peeve of mine, where this car is actually, if you drive it like this, the computer actually either slows down the car or puts it in limp mode, or puts it in a different mode where it'll go if you press an accelerator, but it slows down, and sometimes it'll just do that, and so it won't go at all. And just for an ABS sensor, guys, I don't think that's necessary. I really don't think that's necessary. I don't think that your car they should just kind of immobilize your car just because of an ABS sensor. Your brakes work fine, not an issue there. These brakes, I think they electronically monitor these brakes, and that may be part of the reason why, but you still could have a bad ABS sensor and still be able to drive this car, instead of needing to have it towed because oh my god, oh my gosh, the all these lights come up and my car's not driving right. It's gone into some kind of mode where it's not driving right. But to be honest, I really wish that it was just a light. Just give me a warning where there's an issue with it and you gotta fix it. It's still drivable. It's not dangerous to drive it this way. I've never had issues where the ABS. I mean, it's not one of those things that is pertinent to the car where you need to have it towed to get it serviced, or have the car be in a mode where you're worried about whether there's a bigger issue going on with the car. It sucks in that regard. But that's the way it's set up with the whole computer system, etc., etc. And at this point, I'm not going to be able to drive it too far. I might be able to slow drive it. I'm not going to be able to just drive it normally, drive it too far without actually having taken the sensor out, cleaning up the sensor, putting it back in, or maybe replacing the sensor, etc., etc. Now, I did clean it once, maybe a couple of months ago. Maybe there's a little bit more debris that's been, on it. Best thing for me to do would probably to take the spindle out, take some air out that whole entire thing, and then not have this issue come up again. But it is what it is. I don't think that they should have that metal covering on the bearing on the bearing itself. I don't think they should have it because it's not really going to do anything as far as making it waterproof and stuff like that. You know, I still saw rust on it when I took it off. Kind of sucks that way, but it is what it is. And I didn't put it on the other side when I was doing the bearing. The bearings on the other side because it just wasn't popping in right. But I decided to put, or maybe it broke off or something like that. But I decided to put it on the driver's side because, well, I was like, you know, maybe it needs to be there. I popped it in, and all of a sudden, you know, you start hearing some noise and some metallic noises, and you know, it starts shaving off the metal, and then you have like the metal, the magnet from the sensor just, you know, get magnetized onto the sensor, and the sensor can't read the positioning of the bearing, etc., etc. It's just a pain in the butt, absolute pain in the butt. But it is what it is. If this video has helped you guys out in any way, please give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, and please you know, please you know, leave a comment if you guys have a comment. All right, guys, take care.